Neil, congratulations on the win. Were you happy with the performance in there after the 15 minutes?
Not at all. I mean, I started way too slow in that fight, and that was just way too close to comfort for me.
You mentioned you started slow, but like what? Why do you think you started slow? Was something going on? Was it the small?
No, I mean, it was part of it was game plan. I wanted to come out there and really try to figure out his timing, but it was a lot more trickier than I thought. And I found myself kind of playing into his rhythm, playing into his traps, more so than being offensive and working the things that I'm good at. So it really caught me off guard, trying to figure out his timing when it was so hard to figure out.
And then, regardless of whether you're happy with it or not, you did get the W at the end of it. So where do you go from here? The welterweight division is a little kind of in flux right now. Are there any names you want going forward?
I don't know how many times I call out Mike Chiesa for him to keep ducking me, but that's the fight that I want the most right now. He called me out when I couldn't do anything about it. Now that I'm healthy, ready to go, he's nowhere to be found. So that's a fight I'd love to have.
How soon do you want to get back in there?
As soon as possible. I'm literally going to be back in the gym on Monday, harassing Sean Shelby on Tuesday. So as soon as possible.
What is it about Chiesa that you like about that match? You just sound like you kind of don't like him.
It has nothing to like him or not. I mean, at this point, it's less. I want to fight guys that are ranked above me. I want to fight guys that are getting me closer to the title shot. Right now, he's ranked above me. Right now, he has some steam behind him. So I just want to go out there and do my best against him and keep moving forward.
You said it took you a little bit longer than anticipated to get going. Didn't really look like that to me. It looked like you came out and initiated your game plan, but I guess it was later that you started to sort of take over. Do you think it's because of the size of the cage? It's noticeably smaller.
That definitely played a little bit of factor to it. I mean, I took 2 steps back, and my back was against the fence, so that definitely played a small factor into it. And it was a bit of an adjustment for me, but I just know I can do a lot better than that, so I'm just slightly disappointed that I took too long in that first round to do it.
All right, now that everything's said and done, I noticed that you were not present for media day, and you were also the last person to weigh in. So do you care to shed any light on that?
Oh, my God, dude. You want to go down that rabbit hole? I almost didn't even fight this weekend. I mean, there was a situation that happened at the hotel where there was just this kind of a confusion as far as the COVID test goes and that kind of thing. So they took precaution and just kind of isolated some individuals till they figured out and tests came back negative in order to get the clearance I needed to be around everybody.
Okay. After the fight, Rocco threw his hands up in disbelief. And I thought, certainly, I mean, some people thought the fight was close. Certainly, he didn't think 2 judges gave him all 3 rounds. Did you talk to him after? Was he still upset, or was that just a momentary?
Man, it literally broke my heart in the fight with at the Rocco. I mean, he's one of the guys that. I mean, it's weird. You're like, I've been in the sport in UFC for going on 8 years now. So when you're fighting around the world and that kind of thing, you tend to start making friends. Rocco was one of those guys for me. I mean, when he fought at lightweight, he and I literally fought all over the country together, and I was always rooting for him. So to go out there and be the guy to fight him tonight, it was super awkward.
To me, it seemed like he kind of just really never got going, because I feel like your movement just kind of froze him.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of those things that it caught us both off guard. I mean, he probably watched film and expected me to come out a certain way, and I came out the exact opposite. And the same thing with him. I mean, I did not expect him to use that much clinch wrestling in that fight, and that ended up being one of the things that made this fight a lot closer than it should have been.
Yeah. And one more. So I know that a fight camp is a tremendously stressful time, and then you add on top of it all this craziness that's going on in the world in 2020, but just especially in the last few weeks. This is not fight related, but you and I are both Army veterans. Thank you for your service, by the
Absolutely.
way.
Thank you.
I want to know, though, because there's a lot of people that feel some kind of way about them using troops, and I know it's probably been on your mind this week. What are your thoughts on that?
At the end of the day, people just have to realize that whether you're military or law enforcement, you're a person at the end of the day. When I spent 7 years in the Army, it didn't matter if I was serving stateside or serving overseas. My heart, my passion was always the first thing that came forward. So whether it was in enemy territory, so to speak, I knew that having compassion for a fellow man was the first thing on my mind. So that's how I went out and did my job every single day, both in the military, both in law enforcement. So I just hope that that's the case today with these guys that are serving on the front lines. They just kind of remember that humanity is all one race, and they treat each other with compassion every single day.
Well said, thanks.
For sure. Thanks.
You back here? Yeah, just a quick question, just to clarify the COVID test. Now, Ian had mentioned that his trainer had the false positive, and there were some other fighters around him. Was that you, or did they think that someone else on your team had it?
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, it was it was along those same lines. I mean, it's UFC did a great job this week about keeping people isolated, but it was my fail on my end. Like, I seen a familiar face, went up, shook hands with them, not knowing what was going on behind scenes, and that kind of jeopardized me being a fighter in this card. So even though UFC did a great job about keeping camps separate and that kind of thing, it was my own negligence that almost cost me my position this week. Go. Awesome. Thank you, guys.